You're listening to Therapy for Your Money, a podcast about all things money and finance for therapy practice owners. If you want to feel confident and in control of your financial life, then you've come to the right spot. I'm your host, Julie Harris. I'm an accountant and the owner of Green Oak Accounting. My firm specializes in working with private practices across the U.S., and my team and I have worked with hundreds of private practice owners. I'm on a mission to share all the best practices I've learned along the way because I want you to have a profitable private practice. My new book, Profit First for Therapists, is available at most online retailers. You can get it in paperback, audiobook, or ebook as well. Go check it out. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Therapy for Your Money. Today, we're talking about one of my favorite topics, which is planning for your best year yet. Now, this episode is airing in December 2024, so we are talking about looking ahead to 2025 and making that your best year yet. So we're going to be talking about goal setting and things that you can do now to prepare yourself to meet your financial goals in the new year. Let's jump right into goal setting. First, we have to look back to be able to look forward. So I encourage you to sit down and take a look at what has happened this year so far. First, I think it cultivates two different things. One is it steeps you in reality of what has happened so far, but also it can create a sense of gratitude as well. Business owners particularly can be really hard on themselves. And so sometimes looking at where your practice was in January versus where it is right now, that can make you realize, oh, wait, actually, we have done a lot of really great things and we have made a whole lot of progress this year. It's easy to forget how far you have come. So looking back can really help you remember all the progress that you have made and also give you a realistic view of what kind of effort that took. If you feel like this year went really well, then you probably can expect to do something similar next year, right? Or make that similar kind of progress. But if you feel like, oh my gosh, I've never worked harder in my life and I don't think I can do multiple years at this pace, then that gives you some great information as well. And you can adjust your goals for the next year as well. So by looking back at the previous year, I'm talking about looking at your financials, certainly. In early December, you probably just have information for part of the year, right? Hopefully through at least October, maybe even November as well. But you can look at that to see what are the patterns that have happened in the year. I do know that was a tough year for a lot of practice owners. There was a lot of turnover in group practices. Newer practices did sometimes struggle to attract and retain the number of clients that they wanted to have. Whereas larger practices with solid marketing systems maybe didn't feel that quite so strongly. But if you have financial information for multiple years, I actually would encourage you to look at the last few years and see if you can identify any patterns. For example, are you usually slow in July, or is July a really busy month for you? What happens in January? Do you see a little slump after the holiday season? There's no rule that's going to apply to every single practice out there, but by looking at your financials, you might be able to uncover some patterns that are true for your practice. I also encourage you to look at the reports in your electronic health record, so EHR. What you might be looking at there is number of intakes. How does that shift through the year? Even if your practice is growing, you might see that there is always a dip in February, for example. I'm just throwing a month out there. But if you notice that, right, it always is going up, but we usually see a dip in February and in August. And that is really helpful information for you as a business owner so that you can go forward in making plans and have an idea of what to expect as you as the year goes on. Now, if this was your first year in business, you're not going to have multiple years of data to look at, but you can still look at what happened this year. What might I be able to do to change that if I want to change that? For example, if you know that you experienced a summer slump this year, you might want to make sure that you start some kind of marketing efforts in the spring. that you have something that's starting to generate new clients so that you don't experience as big of a summer slump if that's something that you would like to even out a little bit. The next step to making sure that 2025 is your best year yet is to set clear financial goals. I think that having a financial goal is always helpful. And I'm also a big believer that what gets measured gets attention. So when you are setting your financial goals, it might be a revenue target. For example, I want to make 200, 500, $800,000 next year, a million, 5 million, right? Whatever that number is for you. It could be a target as far as profitability. You might say, I want to have a 20% profit margin, or it could be something like, I want to take home $150,000 separate from my tax savings, right? All of those goals are valid. It could be something like creating an emergency fund at home and or in the business. It could be a goal around paying down debt or having enough money saved to expand the business, like adding a new location or something along those lines. I've thrown out a bunch of different ideas here just to get your juices flowing a little bit. I do not think you should have a goal in each and every one of those categories. I think focus on one or two things is the most that you need to do. If you have too many things that you're trying to achieve, that can be really, really challenging. So I would really restrict your focus to one or two areas. And then I would set up systems so that you are able to track that on a regular basis. It can be really, really simple, like a Google Sheet where you are looking at specific metrics on a weekly basis. And you can track them to see how are we doing towards our goal. Your goals could also be non-financial, something around session count or number of intakes, number of clinicians, how full your clinicians are, right? Those are all just ideas. So I would focus on a handful of things and track those in your Google Sheet or Excel. This is something that if you have a team, you would be able to share with them. And everyone's eyes are staying on the thing that is really, really important. So if your target is a revenue goal, if that's what you are aiming for, then each Monday, for example, you could look at the revenue for the previous week. So you look at how much money came in last week, what was our goal, what are we working towards, and how did we do compared to that? So if you're looking at that information every single week, it is absolutely going to keep your focus on that. So the next step in making 2025 your best year yet is to create a plan. We want to have a plan to make sure that you know how you're going to get there. The beauty of a plan is that once you put it in place, you may realize, you know what, this is maybe a little bit too aggressive or not aggressive enough. Ultimately, you can achieve whatever you want to achieve, but there is usually a trade-off in there somewhere. And so you have to be okay with that trade-off, whatever it may be. For example, you may want to double the size of your practice. It is absolutely possible, and I've seen that happen many, many times, but that might require a whole lot of your time. There is a low likelihood that you are going to double your business while working 20 hours a week, right? That's unlikely. Not impossible, but highly unlikely. So if on the personal side, you are in a place in your life where maybe your kid is about to graduate from high school this year and you want to be able to spend a whole lot of time with them. Maybe your business goal, you'll realize, is out of alignment with your personal goals, which is to be present at home as much as possible. So that's completely okay, but you might realize because of this misalignment, I need to update my goal. Maybe I need a more conservative growth strategy for this year because my main priority is going to be as present as possible at home so I can make the most of this time that I have left with my child at home. I fully respect that. But going in with those open eyes and knowing, you know what, I need to make some changes to this is a really great thing. Instead of getting to the middle of the year and realize that either you have put a ton of effort into your business and you're succeeding there, but you have not been successful in being present at home, or vice versa, where you've been really present at home and then being really disappointed that you are not making progress towards your goals. And as business owners, your personal life is very much intertwined with the business. You and the business are not one, right? It is a separate entity. It is something separate from you. But there's a good chance that your business is a huge part of your life. I actually like to joke that the business is my fourth child. I have three actual children, but I joke that the business is my fourth child because it kind of demands as much time and sometimes more time than my actual human children. And so, as you're creating a plan for your financial goals, looking at what is it going to take in effort, in time, in cash, those are really important considerations to make sure that the trade-offs are something that you are okay with doing and that it's going to be worthwhile to you. Because really, I truly believe in you. You can achieve anything you would want to, but there always is a cost to that. And so, can you accept the cost of these plans and this goal? If yes, then great, continue. And if not, if it doesn't feel like it's going to be worth it, then it's time to adjust your goal until you find something that feels really comfortable for you. Once you've got a goal that makes sense for you and is aligned with your values, then the plan is going to help you figure out how are we going to get there. And when you're setting a goal, there's always just a little piece that's left up to a little bit of magic, right? But we want to make sure that most of the goal is steeped in reality and that there is a way to get there. If your goal is to add 100 new sessions per month to your group practice, and you're currently adding 10 sessions per month, there's got to be a good plan on how exactly are we going to do this, right? It can't be left up just to magic and just hoping and crossing our fingers that the phone is going to ring. That's not going to set us up for success. So there has to be an actual plan on, well, we're probably not going to go from 10 to 100 new sessions per month overnight or in a month, but can we do that over 4 months, over 6 months? Can we set up systems in the practice that are going to allow us to do that? In today's episode, I've given you some basics on how to set clear financial goals. As we approach the end of the year, I hope that you'll take a little bit of time, maybe even make a date with yourself, put something on your calendar to just reflect on what happened in 2024 and think about what you would like your business and your personal life to be like in 2025. And then make a plan for how you're going to do that and how you're going to keep your eye on the prize and track the things that are important for you to achieve that financial goal. Because I just know that 2025 is going to be your best year yet. Take care, everyone.
The information contained in this podcast represents the host and guest's general opinions and should not be construed as personalized accounting and tax advice. Listeners should consider all facts and circumstances before applying this information and seek appropriate advice from an accountant, financial planner, lawyer, or other professional. Any info provided does not constitute accounting, tax, or legal advice.